Okay, so project 1 for occlusion course, alginate impressions on Typodonts. Okay? To begin with alginate impressions, as we know in class, as you saw in class, we're going to use an irreversible hydrocolloid. It comes pre-packed most of the time, and this one contains 21 grams of alginate that has to be mixed with 57 milliliters of water. As we know, water, if it's cold, it will retard and it will take longer for the alginate to mix. You would not change the amount of water to powder ratio, but you can change the temperature of it, okay? So as we said, it's 57. We're gonna do 57 here. I already have it pre-marked, because I cannot see it very well. If you don't happen to find one of these, or if there's only a few of them, you can always check 57, put it on a little cup, mark it, and then now you can reuse it for many times. You can also use these ones here that we have available that have, they have 30 milliliters, so you have to do 2 and do the math, right? Now, in order for me to take the impressions, the first thing I want to do is I want to try my upper impression on the upper arch. If you see that upper impression tray, those cover the palette, as my upper has a palette. Put it in and make sure it's covering all the teeth. If you see it, in this case, this is the largest tray we have in the school, and it's not going all the way down to the depth of the vestibule. And if that's the case, you're gonna need to add some rope wax. The rope wax, you'll find it on the wet lab as well, and this will make an extension of the tray. Now, I'm getting so much closer to where I want to go, right? Once I have these, then what's the next step? I'm gonna put some tray adhesive. I will do a small layer of adhesive. I can put it on the wax as well. And the adhesive, what it's going to do, it's going to keep that alginate in its place. After finishing this, we always do shake it. How do you shake it?
Like a Polaroid picture.
Like a Polaroid picture. You shake it, shake it, shake it until it's dry. Okay? Let's focus on the upper first. As I'm doing the upper, I will open the pouch, and I've explained this before, but alginate, it's very, very powdery. I'm gonna open it in the hot dog way, right? Remember? We talk about hot dog and hamburger way of opening a pouch. You're gonna open it in a horizontal way. Okay, now I got the powder. I will add the liquid just as we spoke. And I want you guys to take a look how I'm incorporating the water. At the beginning, I will just move it around to try to incorporate the water onto the powder. And once that happens, what I like to do is I like to push it towards the walls of the bowl. I'm not mixing a soup. I am incorporating the water to make a paste. If you see, I go around and I smash the alginate onto the walls of this until I get a mixture that it's not runny. You see, this is exactly the consistency that I want for this. Once you load it, then I load it onto my tray. Okay. I can probably wet a little bit the surfaces here and there. And what I want is to go from the back to to the front to prevent any bubbles, okay? All this, I will use the extra to kind of push it all around, so I'm capturing the depth of the vestibule. Once the alginate has set, which is about in a minute or two, we want to snap this out in one motion like this. If you start trying to snuggle it in and out and move it around, you may break or snap or deform the alginate. What is it that you want? Something like this. Guys, look. I got the whole periphery or periphery of the depth of the vestibule. As you're taking the impression, guys, I've seen it. This tissue sometimes comes out, and you're taking the impression with the tissue not tucked in the depth of the vestibule. So make sure when you're taking that impression that it's well tucked in all around. You look at it. Now I have all this buccal area well impressed. Yes, you will find some bubbles like this one, some bubbles like those. Those are okay for the purpose of this. If you have any leftovers or any extras, you can always get one of these knives and cut it. Now, the nice thing about the wax rim that we put, or the rope wax, is that this alginate, it's well supported. If you didn't have that, this alginate would be moving all over the place. So this is an acceptable impression. It would have some bubbles here and there, but as long as it's not on the occlusal, it's fine. Once we have this acceptable impression and we cut those extras, then we will use 100% humidity environment on it, which is nothing but a wet paper towel. Make sure you pre-wet it before. And then we leave it like this until as we finish the next project. All right, so now the second step is to take the impression of the lower arch. When we go to the lower arch, we're gonna get this 20D, or the largest plastic impression tray, and we're gonna try it in. And this is what's gonna happen. This tray is not going to fit. So when plastic trays, we can always modify these trays. At the end, remember guys, this is just a reservoir for the alginate for me to be able to take an impression. So I can always try to bend this lower portion, the lingual part, you can try to bend it. If it's hard for you to bend it, you can always get, you guys remember this one, right? A water, an alcohol torch, kind of like heat it up a little bit, and then it'll be so much easier for you to bend it. And what I want you to do is I want you to bend it towards the lingual. So that way, the lingual section or the lingual flanges of this tray are easier to set here. You see, not yet. And you will just work with this. And if it breaks up a little bit, it's okay. Remember, guys, this is just to contain the alginate in its place. And we don't have any other one anyway, so you have to do this. There is enough space for the tray and the alginate to capture the teeth, okay? Now, I have a much better coverage of the entire arch. See? Okay, and then, same old thing. I'm gonna get my bowl, I'm gonna get my water, and I already know where the 57 is, right? And I'll get my pouch. What's this called? Do not sniff alginate, guys. Never. Put it back in here. And we follow the same process. Now, I do half on one side. Hey, what did I forget?
Tray adhesive.
This is what happens when you don't do tray adhesive. I put enough. In this case, I'm putting a little bit too much just because it's a Typodont. Yes. And if you guys find yourselves getting some bubbles, you can always grab a little bit of alginate before you do the impression and put it on the occlusal surfaces. Then you take this and push it. Push it, push it, push it until it reaches the depth of the vestibule. Remember, I want you guys to copy the depth of the vestibule. The excess that it's coming out, you can just move it around and try to copy that depth of the vestibule. Okay? Take it up, make it up there. And we're gonna get a beautiful impression, but this beautiful impression, if we don't have tray adhesive on it, guess what's gonna happen? So, and this is how you will have to repeat the project again. So, as we snap the impression out, right? And I want you guys to I wanna show you guys, I have copied the entire depth of the vestibule. I do not have any bubbles in the occlusal. And this one is ready to be poured. Now, what would happen in real life on this area here? What would be lying here? The tongue, right? So what I want you guys to do for these purposes only, we're gonna pretend that there was a tongue in here, and I want you guys, everybody, to cut the tongue space, because I want you to show you how to do or recreate the tongue space. So you will cut it, and this is how you're gonna show it to me before I signed it off. Okay, before it gets signed off, you're gonna cut the excess of it. How do you know where the excess go? Exactly where the depth of the vestibule or this area ends. That's where you wanna get the end of it. Okay? Again, my alginate is very well supported by the wax, and this is what I have. Now, in order to make the tongue space, you will take another wet paper towel. You're gonna flip it, fold it, fold it, fold it, fold it, and you're gonna put it right underneath this area, okay? And then you will take a small amount of alginate. You're gonna take a small amount of alginate and you're just gonna kind of like fill that space. Okay, you're gonna fill it up like this. You get your finger wet with water, and look. Just go around it, fill up that blank space just like you had it before, but now you're doing it on purpose, right? And once you have it like this, you let it set, and you proceed to the next step. And the purpose of boxing up an impression is to create a reservoir now for the stone. How you do it? We use boxing wax. Boxing wax, you will find it also at the wet lab. And what you want to have, mainly what you want to have, is you need to have at least 20 millimeters to 30 millimeters from the depth of the vestibule to here. Because when you fill it up and you create the base of this cast, you need to have at least 30 millimeters from there to there. Meaning this kind of like the base of it. And you'll see it once we turn in a model. Let me show you in this model. Same thing. This is the depth of the vestibule, and from the depth of the vestibule to here, you have between 20 to 30 millimeters of base. It's very important you leave a base. You see, now I have a perfectly boxed upper impression with enough area that will create that base. Salud.